I want to add on. I want to ask you about your travels. You didn't travel. To some places. When I first came in contact with your image of who you are, your name, you were in China.
I was in China.
You were in China. You know what I'm saying? So you traveled around with this knowledge.
Right.
Like today's math is not that cipher. So you then took this knowledge and you added it on to a couple of places. You know,
right.
You could add on about that.
Okay. I got into traveling in 2002. When I first traveled outside, that was the first time I ever traveled outside the country. I was a kid from the projects. I was a kid from my city, and I thought where I lived was the world, and that's it. And in 2002, I had the opportunity to go back to where my parents are from, which is in Cuba, and I almost didn't go. I didn't have the finances and things. My mom was like, "I think you should go," and it was the most powerful experience I've had in my life. To witness a world outside of the metropolitan United States, the capital of the United States. In all retrospect, is kind of New York, right?
Somewhat.
New York is the Empire State. It was the capital of America in times before DC was, New York City was, and the World Trade Center was here. Meaning that the trading center of the world was here.
Was it? I mean, it kind of still is, like where the world comes to do trading, basically.
Right. The United Nations is here in New York City. You know, so New York City, is like the center. It's the world in a nutshell, in some shape, form, or fashion, right? And it has its own culture that, New York is very unique in terms of they feel that the world needs to be this. New York has always been that. That's why we call it Mecca. That's why we call it Mecca. Garvey was here. You know what I'm saying? What Malcolm did here with Temple Number 7, one of the strongest temples out of the Nation of Islam, and then Allah, the birth of the 5 or 7 nations, Nation of God's earth. And for me to travel to Cuba and see a revolutionary culture that was born in the 1950s and 60s was like, wow.
Were you versed in it like before you went there? Like you was versed in that whole
books?
Just books.
Yeah, but to see it over there, because it really is doors open, neighbors coming in and borrowing sugar, and it's funny because coming from where I come from in Jersey, it's kind of very similar to because my aunt used to live downstairs and I used to go downstairs and borrow sugar and borrow bread. You know what I mean? Even today, I now live in Florida. And I come up here and visit, and I stay with my mom's. And our neighbor, right? I grew up with her. She known me since I was like 7, 6 years old. She known me as a little kid. And she went and stayed with her daughter and gave me the keys to her house. It was like, stay in my house.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know what I mean?
Community.
It's a community-based, and not only that, one of my peoples did that too. That was last time that I was here. Even now, to this very day, people here, take the keys to my car. Now Rain used to do that all the time. Now Rain used to give me the keys to his Benz. Not his Benz, his Beamer. And I'll be like, all right, cool, hold it for the weekend. Come back and pick me up. You know what I mean?
I've seen that, but you didn't see that here. Oh, you saw that.
It's community based within certain people, but over there is the country.
The country's like that.
The country's like that. And
communism.
Yeah.
But
and that communism.
I mean, right.
It's a very different, and even that's even questionable because and I did live in China, so Maoism is more the culture of China.
Then communism, you say, or communism, that Maoism, communist.
Yeah,
is
exactly. Leninism is another form of communism.
Right.
It's not Marxism. It really isn't. I was a political science minor when I went to college and shit like that. So to understand these different sets of government, on paper is one thing, but to see the culture, being there, is very unique. And being in Cuba, I started. It was beautiful to see my family history, to see where my mother grew up, to see where my father grew up, the struggles that they had, to seeing what the struggles are over there. I met my sister for the first time over there.
Oh wow!
I have a biological sister, and it was just.
And that's by way of your old dad. Your old dad's people.
Yeah. So it was a very beautiful experience. And I was, from there, it triggered something in me when I returned that I knew I needed to travel more and I needed to see the rest of the world. And when I came back, that's when I applied for college because I'm a high school dropout. I dropped back in and got my high school diploma. I was like 21 years old.
Not GED, diploma.
No, I got my high school diploma through vocational school.
Oh,
It was an
okay.
alternative high school that allowed people.
And how old you did that?
I was 19, going on 20.
So you're
21
20.
is the cutoff. 21 is the legal cutoff.
Oh, so you dropped out and then got back in right
Yeah.
on time to get your.
Yeah, exactly. And these vocational programs, they do half a semester. They do an entire semester and half a semester. So it's September to December is an entire semester, and in January you start a new semester. And it was that type of school, and it's a vocational school where they teach photography, they teach music programs, they teach those type of programs. And these schools catered more to high school dropouts, people who just came out of juvenile detention centers, or teenage mothers because they had a nursery. They had a nursery for the kids. So they had, like all those type of programs. And I ended up teaching in that school when I graduated college.
That's dope.
But when I was in college, there was study abroad programs. And I went through an EOF scholarship, which is, if you can't afford college because you come from a family that is below the economic standard for what they need to give you educational opportunity funds. It's an opportunity scholarship. So as long as I could maintain my GPA above a certain grade, I was able to go to college for free to get my bachelor's degree. And
You majored in?
I majored in social sciences with a concentration in African studies and a double minor in history and political science.
If Mecca did this.